Last week in Michigan politics, how will the state spend your taxpayer dollars? What we learned this week about Governor Gretchen Whitmer's proposal for the next state budget. Plus, big concerns over postal delivery continued last week. How one local said they were being impacted and how officials were responding to the problem. And the federal government is releasing new numbers when it comes to jobs and the economy. But do they line up with what we're seeing on the local level? We hear from a West Michigan expert. I'm Josh Alburtus, and this is your 13 on Your Side rundown. We begin on the east side of the state. President Donald Trump threatened on Truth Social this week that he may not allow the new Gordie Howe International Bridge to open between Canada and the United States. In the lengthy post Monday night, the president said Canada, who paid for the bridge to be built, has treated the United States unfairly. President Trump also said that they will start negotiations immediately and that the United States should own, quote, perhaps at least one half of this asset. Former Republican Governor Rick Snyder negotiated the original deal with Canada, with work on the bridge starting in 2018. We spoke with the Grand Rapids Chamber of Commerce about the president's posts. They said the opening of the bridge is something they've been working for over a decade.
We were bringing West Michigan businesses together to talk to lawmakers about the importance of improving this crossing between the U.S. And Canada. 60% of all Michigan trade, probably more now, is with Canada. And such a big majority of our West Michigan jobs are tied to international trade and trade with Canada that we want to enhance that.
Now, there hasn't been an official date for the opening of the bridge, but it is expected to open in early 2026. According to the Toronto Star, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney reportedly told President Trump on Tuesday that ownership of the bridge is split between Michigan and Canada and that both countries provided steel for its construction. And the fallout continued this week after the president's post. Alongside a number of state officials, Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who's been a major proponent of the bridge, responded to the post. We also heard from independent candidate for governor Mike Duggan during a campaign stop to Grand Rapids. Take a listen to what they had to say about the situation involving what would be the third major connection between the cities of Detroit and Windsor, Ontario.
Canadians have paid for the bridge. The bridge was built with organized labor, union labor on both sides of the bridge, including Michiganders. It is a really important part of our economy, the largest crossing in North America. And so it is important that it continues to move forward and open up on time, and that's my expectation.
The Gordie Howe Bridge is a product of 15 years of work between Republican Governor Rick Snyder, a Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer, me as the mayor of Detroit, and the Canadian government. It is critical to the economic future of our area. It's been done on a bipartisan basis for 15 years, and it needs to get open.
The Detroit-Windsor border crossing is the busiest in North America, according to the website for the nearby Ambassador Bridge, with over $323 million of all trade between the United States and Canada, the website says, crossing the border each day. We have several other responses to the president's comments from both sides of the aisle up on our website, 13onyourside.com. A case brought by the Justice Department against the state of Michigan and Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson was dismissed by a federal judge last Tuesday. A U.S. District Court judge who was nominated by President Trump in 2020 granted the state of Michigan and Benson's motion to dismiss a lawsuit that sought unredacted voter rolls from the Michigan Department of State. The DOJ requested voter rolls from multiple states, including Michigan, in an attempt to, quote, ensure that voter registration records are accurate, accessible, and secure, according to a statement from Attorney General Pamela Bondi in September of 2025. The judge dismissed the case brought by the DOJ, which argued that the Justice Department had authority to compel the states to disclose the full list of unredacted voter rolls under several different provisions. A federal grand jury will not indict the Democratic lawmakers, including Michigan U.S. Senator Elissa Slotkin, who posted a video last year urging service members not to follow illegal orders. That's according to reporting from the Associated Press. After the video was posted, President Donald Trump accused the lawmakers of sedition punishable by death. It's not clear which of the 6 Democrats in the video were facing indictments. Slotkin posted on social media saying the dismissal is a score for their freedom of speech and the rule of law. Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson argued the Democratic lawmakers were obstructing law enforcement and should be indicted. 2 West Michigan health centers will receive more than $5 million combined in federal funding, according to local Congresswoman Hillary Skolton. Cherry Street Services Heart of the City Health Center in Grand Rapids is expected to receive more than $4.6 million, and Muskegon Family Care in Muskegon Heights is expected to get nearly $1 million. The grants from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, we're told, help community organizations deliver affordable primary health care in underserved areas. Skolton says the investment will help the centers provide quality care to their communities at costs people can afford. It could be a long road of negotiation ahead for Michigan lawmakers, now deciding how they want to spend your tax dollars in the next state budget. Coming up, details on the proposal from Governor Gretchen Whitmer's administration and how key lawmakers are responding. At the state capitol, Governor Gretchen Whitmer's administration laid out its full proposal this week for the state's next budget. After a chaotic budget season last year, officials are signaling it could be another long year of negotiation to get a budget done on time. We were in Lansing this week. How will the state spend your taxpayer dollars? Well, Governor Whitmer's administration certainly has some ideas, but in order to get any of them done, they'll have to go through lawmakers first.
In 140 days. That's the amount of time that we have.
And the clock is ticking as lawmakers hope to finalize a state budget in time.
If we're serious about meeting the moment, it's going to take us really to get together very quickly and actually start to try to solve these issues.
A big first step in the process came on Wednesday as state officials laid out Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer's proposal for the next state budget to a joint session of the powerful House and Senate Appropriations Committees. The administration's roughly $88 billion plans include things like partial property tax refunds for qualifying seniors, literacy investments to fulfill a key Whitmer priority, and a permanent extension of state-funded breakfast and lunch for all public school children.
It's not going to be easy, but we've proven we can do hard things, and we must do these hard things.
It also revises certain taxes to bring in more revenue. Changes like a proposed 57% wholesale tax on e-cigarettes and vaping products. While the executive may have its own ideas, so too does Republican leadership in control of the state House.
There will be no tax increases in this budget when we do this deal. Instead, we're going to have to live within our means, just like the people of Michigan do when they have increased expenses.
Republican leadership signaling an interest in further cuts to state spending and doing away with what they feel is waste.
I think we have to make life more affordable. There is no doubt, but you don't do it by raising more revenue. I think that there is more to cut. I think there's more to restructure. I think we need to position ourselves that we're not reliant on the federal government.
But it'll be down to the members of the appropriations committees to shape the beginning of the legislature's plan. With plans now in motion, what did some of them think of the governor's ideas?
So when we talk about hardworking people in Michigan trying to make ends meet, costs are going up high. We talk about inflation, groceries are up. It's expensive, rent's going up, and those kind of things. And yet we talk about differences in weighing to make this balance out with tax increases. We should not be talking about tax increases right now.
And as the week went on, we poured through these numbers to bring you more about what exactly the governor and her administration are proposing. After a chaotic budget season last year, initial signs are pointing to another long year of negotiation ahead to get the next state budget done on time.
140 days. that's the amount of time that we have.
The Whitmer administration on Wednesday proposed a roughly $88 billion budget. Now, for context, the budget they proposed last year totaled $83.5 billion. Now, in addition to those things we told you about earlier this week, things like a new tax holiday for school supplies, property tax breaks for qualifying seniors, and making state-funded school meals for all public school kids permanent, this also includes things like expanding community health workers, lowering the minimum wage for the Michigan Reconnect program for college tuition assistance, increasing the amount the schools get per pupil, and other major investments in student literacy, a key priority for Whitmer in the final year of her term.
It's not going to be easy, but we've proven we can do hard things, and we must do these hard things.
It's a notable increase given that last month state analysts projected less revenue for the state's major budget funds than was previously thought, roughly $1 billion less. But state officials say that federal changes and uncertainty lead the state to pick up more of the tab, particularly in health care.
Rising costs, Medicaid changes, and ongoing federal uncertainty continue to put pressure on the budget and strain our resources.
They hope to support the state Medicaid program using new tax changes on things like tobacco, gaming, and digital advertising. And they specifically call for a 57% wholesale tax on e-cigarettes and vape products. But Republicans I heard from were indicating they are not signing on to new taxes as part of a budget deal.
There will be no tax increases in this budget when we do this deal. Instead, we're going to have to live within our means.
Instead, Republican leadership in control of the state House believe there is more to cut in state spending that can get a deal to the finish line. Lawmakers are hoping they can get it done by the July 1st legal deadline that schools and other groups depend on to make their plans.
13 Reads, sponsored by Independent Bank.
Fourth grade students in Michigan have some of the lowest reading scores in the country. In her final budget as governor, Gretchen Whitmer wants to allocate hundreds of millions of dollars for childhood literacy programs. 13 on your side's Nick Nelson takes a look at that piece of the budget proposal and what a Grand Rapids group is already doing to get more children to read.
The governor's proposal is definitely a step in the right direction.
Kevin Stotts, president of workforce development group Talent First, applauds Governor Gretchen Whitmer for making childhood literacy a top priority for her last year in office. Her proposed budget includes a $625 million investment in childhood literacy programs called the Every Child Reads Plan.
We do have a literacy crisis with fourth grade reading scores being some of the lowest in the nation. When we look at how we're doing in Michigan. And so in order to address this, we do need to see a really big investment in terms of resources.
Since the pandemic, Michigan has fallen to 44th in the nation for fourth grade reading. Stotts also applauds the plan for some of the funding going to classroom libraries.
What we've found in our research is that classroom libraries are really one of the best assets that a teacher can have in helping her students or his students learn to read.
Talent First has started what it calls an Adopt a Classroom grant program, providing elementary schools with quality classroom libraries.
Seeing the students kind of rush to get the books and having the chance to talk with the students and then pulling out their favorite books, talking about what they like about those books is really exciting. We know that the libraries, which is sort of an evidence-based strategy, is really successful at helping sort of create an enthusiasm for reading amongst those students.
Also at the Capitol, lawmakers have been considering a package of 3 bills that would allow the sale of raw milk in certain cases. Under the bills, there would be requirements associated with selling raw milk and its product. Some say this is about supporting choice and small business, but others are ringing alarm about potential risks. We took a look this week at the ongoing debate.
I wish that there weren't as many really tight, stringent regulations that make it really hard to do that.
That's what Ashley Armstrong told 13 on Your Side back in 2024, as the cooperative she managed in Southwest Michigan was told by the state to dispose of raw milk product.
The regulations allow for larger farms, big agriculture companies to really take hold of certain food industries.
Now, just last month, advocates traveled to the state capitol, speaking in support of new bills that would allow the sale of raw milk and its product in certain cases.
It's about making it easier for adults to access the food they want, respecting food freedom, supporting small farms, and trusting people to make informed decisions for themselves and their families.
3 bills state lawmakers are now considering would allow direct farm-to-consumer raw milk sales, subject to some requirements. Requirements including specific labeling, standards compliance, and a waiver that, in part, acknowledges that the consumer is making an informed, voluntary purchase and accepts the risks of consuming it.
We can allow people to have more choices and enjoy themselves and make farmers happy.
But as consideration continues, some are also emphasizing what they alert could be the health risks.
Well, farmers make every effort to ensure that the cows are kept clean, that the milk is harvested hygienically. They're animals and they live in farms, and it's impossible to prohibit all contamination of raw milk.
Inherent risks, this expert said, can lead to contamination of harmful pathogens.
This isn't a new debate. It comes around about every 10 or 12 years, and the science is well established, and the outcomes of legalizing raw milk are real. There will be people who are hurt.
The bills are still being considered in the state house. They would need to pass the chamber before moving on to the state senate. For several days next week, you will not be able to go to Michigan's unemployment offices or use the Unemployment Insurance Agency's online account services. Starting the afternoon of February 18th, the offices will transition to a new computer system. The agency recommends anyone who needs to certify their unemployment do so before next Wednesday, February 18th. During the transition, UIA offices will be closed and you will not be able to call them. The new system is expected to be online starting Monday, February 23rd. The city of Grand Rapids has selected a new interim police chief ahead of the current chief's departure. Next, we hear from the new chief and dive into how the shift could play into the city government's efforts to improve public safety. There is a new interim commissioner in Muskegon County after the recent death of Commissioner Darrell Page following his long battle with cancer. In a unanimous vote at last Thursday night's meeting, commissioners selected Kimberly Sims as the interim commissioner for District 7. Sims has a long history in the Lakeshore community, once serving as the mayor of Muskegon Heights. Sims will hold the interim spot on the commission until the next election later this year. Continuing coverage now on a problem with the U.S. Postal Service. People across West Michigan had contacted 13 on Your Side, saying they hadn't received mail for days. We spoke with Micah Langloy last week, who told us she and her sister, who lives right by her, have had problems getting their mail for the past 6 months, adding it became worse around Thanksgiving. Langloy said it's been difficult getting answers as to why this is happening. She said she'd been told it's due to weather, but she argued that doesn't add up because she's been clearing the snow away. She claimed the issues started before the snow arrived.
We have a handful of elderly people who live around here, and a lot of them get their medications and medical equipment through the mail, and a lot of them are having big problems getting it and really nobody to help them. And actually a lot of us are kind of stuck. We don't really know where else to go with it.
The week prior, USPS sent out a statement addressing delays, saying in part, quote, weather conditions are continuously monitored and delivery decisions are made with employee safety as the top priority. Lawmakers are also getting involved. Congressman Bill Huizenga sent a letter to the Postmaster General saying his constituents in the Kalamazoo area are also having problems. Huizenga pointed to concerns with a sorting and delivery center. Democrat Hillary Skolton has said she is also working to address the problem. In Grand Rapids, the city announced on Monday who will take over for outgoing police chief Eric Windstrom, who's expected to start a new position as the police chief in Pensacola, Florida. Deputy Chief Joe Trigg will begin as interim chief on March 2nd. 13 on Your Side's Callie Lichter sat down with Trigg this week, who said he's proud to lead the department and wants the improvements he's seen under Windstrom's leadership to continue.
Deputy Chief Joe Trigg is no stranger to the Grand Rapids Police Department.
I've been here for my whole career. This is 25 years invested in this community, and it will be my only community.
After 2.5 decades, he's stepping in as interim chief as Chief Eric Winstrom leaves to become chief of police in Florida. In an interview with 13 on Your Side Tuesday, Trigg says he's proud to lead the department through the transition.
This is home to me, and the success of this department means more to me than anything.
He's worked in many different roles during his tenure and says it was never an expectation to be where he is.
Although I chose this profession, it seems like the promotions choose me, which is just the way I like to do things.
He says Winstrom did a great job creating community trust, which is something he wants to continue and build upon.
You can't just do press conferences or things over the phone. You got to get out in the community, meet people, let them meet you, and work on that relationship. It takes time.
He also stressed accountability and transparency with the department.
But there's times where we have to have accountability for officers, and it needs to be addressed. But you can still do it with care and concern and redirect. And obviously, the goal is to eliminate the behavior from happening again.
When asked if he'll put his name in the hat for the chief position, he says he wants to focus on the here and now of the department. But no matter what happens, Grand Rapids is home.
I have no aspirations to work anywhere else or be the chief anywhere else, so I'm fully invested in this department.
With that big shift on the way, local leaders discussed policing, justice, and safety with community members at the Grand Rapids Library Monday evening. That was part of a separate scheduled series, Mayor's Mondays, as they're called. We heard from the city's mayor about the new appointment, as well as from other leaders and community members about a number of subjects touching on law enforcement and how to keep the community safe.
And I always want to figure out how I can help. And I know one way is just to be a sponge, to always be willing to learn and be a part of the community.
That's why Michiganders said he came to the latest Mayor's Monday at the Grand Rapids Library, featuring Grand Rapids Mayor David LeGrand and Kent County Commissioner Robert Womack. Community members gathering for a discussion centered on local safety and policing and knowing one's rights.
You never know when that next headline could be you or your family, and to be proactive as opposed to reactive. So knowing your rights, knowing what to do when you're pulled over by the police, or just being able to connect with the mayor and having that open communication.
The conversation dipping into multiple elements of local safety and policing, from what your rights may be in the event of a traffic stop.
Under the Fourth Amendment, you can refuse a search of your car by stating, "I do not consent to a search." An officer can legally search your car anyway if they have probable cause or a warrant.
To something on the minds of many, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, widely known as ICE.
What I can do and what we can do as a city is have a very clear policy that, like, when we are city actors, do not ask people about citizenship. We do not. That's just not part of the investigative process, right?
But it also comes amid a big transition for the city's policing efforts. The city announcing Monday that Deputy Chief Joe Trigg would step in as interim chief of police, as current Chief Eric Winstrom prepares for a new position in Pensacola, Florida.
He's really part of Grand Rapids, and he really loves this place, and I think he really has a service mentality, and so I'm excited to have him as our interim. I think he's going to do a great job.
$195,000. That's how much 13 homeowners in southeast Grand Rapids will be splitting from the city to help cover the damages caused by a broken water line in June of 2024. 13 on Your Side's Nick Nelson has details of the settlement and reaction from some of those homeowners who say that's not enough.
You've got repairs, but you've also got the loss of property and then you have the loss of all the bins full of all the pictures and all the baby things and things from us growing up.
Scott and Stephanie Hall say although nothing can replace the priceless items they lost in a flood caused by a water main break in June of 2024, they wonder why it took the city so long to address the needs of the homeowners who live in the area. The city had previously stated in a letter sent to those residents that it would not be covering any damages from the break.
All of us got them on the same day. Your claim has been denied. And they referenced the code or the law or the whatever it was to saying that they could claim immunity.
The Grand Rapids City Commission unanimously voted Tuesday to pay out $195,000 to those homeowners. Mayor David LeGrand said before the vote that the time has come to make this payout.
I think all of us can say it's been a long time coming, and we're certainly glad to have a resolution here.
The Halls say their payout won't be much value once attorney fees are paid and the total amount is split between the 13 homeowners, which is $15,000, but say they fear not much more can be done about it.
They've made their decision, and we're going to have to live with it. All of us have different levels of loss, different levels of personal loss, time off work, on and on and on. And there's just nothing from the city that the city says that it really cares.
And a city spokesperson provided the following statement after the resolution passed. Quote, "We are grateful that all parties have worked toward a resolution of the pending claims. The collaboration with the attorney representing the claimants reflects an agreement to resolve a disputed claim in a mutually acceptable way." The superintendent of Grand Rapids Public Schools, Dr. Leadrienne Roby, is getting a contract extension. In a 5-2 vote this week, the school board extended her contract through June of 2027. Dr. Roby requested the extension, citing growth in graduation rates and test scores. GRPS Board Treasurer Eleanor Moreno was one of the 2 board members who voted against the extension. She voiced concerns over the district's finances and lower student enrollment. Dr. Roby has served as superintendent since 2020. Taking a look at snow coverage on Grand Rapids roads from late last week, many living there signaled plows hadn't been through for weeks. But city officials say that's not the case. 13 on your side's Lauren Baker got a look at how the city decides which streets are plowed first.
It's no secret that winter has been brutal when it comes to our roads. So much so it's left some Grand Rapids residents complaining that their roads haven't been plowed at all. The city's response, it has, and there's a process, and this is how it works.
When an event starts, we activate what we're calling the local streets.
That's Public Works Supervisor Jason Carter breaking down how snowplows operate in the city.
The inner city is what we do for day shift routes. The outside of the city is where our third shift goes.
And he's able to track where the plows are going with this GPS system called Samsara. That gives him and other leaders a live look at what roads are being plowed.
It's a game changer. It used to be word of mouth. Now I can actually call my drivers when I see that they're close to their route being done. And I can call them and say, hey, when you get your route done, I need you to go over to this route and help this driver out.
And that system is used in conjunction with this network of roads.
We're on our first attention network. This is all major streets that we plow in the city of Grand Rapids. 3 inches or more in an event will activate our local network. And that's where we say, okay, these first attentions are in good shape. They're drivable. We've used salt on them. Now we're going into the side roads. That's going to be our plow routes.
Those plow routes are broken down into 41 routes. And the goal is to hit every road within 24 hours. But Public Works Director John Gorney says issues like parked cars can impact how well roads are plowed.
If residents are not adhering to the odd even parking, it can make it difficult for us to get our trucks down the road. And then even if we can get down the road, we have to plow around those vehicles.
Also, when it snows a lot, it can refill the roads with even more snow, causing it to look like no plowing has happened. Which is why he says if residents ever feel like their road hasn't been plowed, call the city.
Call our department. We'd gladly show you any of our coverage maps, any of our video.
Because with how much snow impacts our roads, he says the city is trying to clean them as fast as they can. For 13 on your side, I'm Lauren Baker.
Grand Rapids is expecting a new sister city. Grand Rapids Sister Cities International had announced that it may be partnering with Vaughan in Ontario, Canada, one of the country's fastest growing and most dynamic cities. The organization believes the partnership could help strengthen cross-border relationships rooted in economic collaboration. Grand Rapids has other sister city partnerships in Japan, Poland, Ghana, South Korea, Italy, and Mexico. On Tuesday, the City Commission of the Whole voted unanimously for the resolution. New job numbers are now out from the federal government. After the break, we see how those may align or differ from what we're seeing on the local level here in West Michigan. A new jobs report shows job growth was stronger than expected last month. It indicates the U.S. economy added 130,000 positions. That's about 50,000 more than predicted, according to FactSet estimates. Figures from the Bureau of Labor Statistics also show unemployment dropped to 4.3%. But the national numbers might not necessarily reflect what's happening in West Michigan. A local economics professor says he's defining this year by cautious optimism and slow job growth. One of the biggest reasons, artificial intelligence. 13 on your side's Peter Elliott has the story.
It's Paul Isley's job to make sense of the economy, but with so much uncertainty, he admits it's gotten a lot harder to do so in recent years, just like finding an entry-level role.
Don't have a lot of skills right now. It's not a good world to be in.
The Grand Valley State University economics professor sharing his outlook on the local economy on Wednesday afternoon with the Allendale Area Chamber of Commerce.
Well, we've been hurting more than the national economy because we've lost so many manufacturing jobs over the last few years. So we're down about 5,000 manufacturing jobs over the last year.
It comes the same day as a new report from the U.S. Department of Labor, which reveals slight job growth in January and a minor dip in the unemployment rate.
I'm not sure that we're going to see accelerating job growth.
But Isley says the labor market is still far from turning around, especially in our area.
For the year, for me, we're going to see slow job growth, and that's going to be tempered by the fact that we here in West Michigan don't actually have the workers aligned with the skill sets that we need.
It's due, in part, to an increasing number of manufacturing firms in West Michigan leaning on artificial intelligence and automation.
So here in West Michigan, we sort of ran out of workers before COVID. And that really wasn't solved.
He thinks West Michigan is already ahead of the curve when it comes to AI adoption.
And if it makes us less expensive, then we're more competitive with other areas and we'll get more work. So in the end, it will be good for us, but in the short run, it resulted in fewer jobs.
Though he believes there is reason for cautious optimism given the diversification of the local economy with thriving sectors like healthcare, tech, and manufacturing for the defense and aerospace industries.
Those are all doing better than the automotive and furniture industries that have traditionally supported us.
And that's the rundown for your week in Michigan politics. Be sure to keep up with all the top political stories of the day, both on air and online at 13onyourside.com.